My oldest is 21. Her name is Amanda, and she graduated from the dental hygiene program. She came for a year and did the pre-classes and then 2 years in the dental hygiene program, and she graduated with no debt. And that's one of the great things about Virginia Western is that you can actually come through this program and not have the college debt that a lot of kids are leaving with today. College is your investment in yourself, and if you look at this as a business decision and you can say, okay, I'm going to spend $25,000 a year for 4 years in college. Okay, that's $100,000. If you're getting a $100,000 house and you only have to pay $50,000 for it, you're still getting the same $100,000 house, you're just making a better investment. And what can you do with that other $50,000 that basically you're saving? By taking 2 years at Virginia Western, you are saving that money, and you're still getting the same undergraduate classes that you would be at any of the four-year schools because all of those transfer.
I would rather have $20,000 less debt than they're going to have in 3 years.
Well, with everything we see in the news now of a lot of student debt, everyone's carrying student debt nowadays, and so his mother and I tried to talk him into at least spending his first year here before he transfers out to a four-year college. So he bought into that. We got to talk to him about debt and what it cost, and coming out of a four-year college somewhere with 80, 90 grand of student debt, and I think it made good sense to him. He's also very frugal, so he didn't like the sound of that. So I think the cost of it was one thing for him to save that money to where he has something to work with at his first year at a four-year school.
I think the advantage of attending Virginia Western is for students to become more independent in a supportive college environment and learn some essential study and note-taking skills that they may not necessarily have obtained at high school.
It's a good transition point between high school and college. He gets some of the things of the college. This is a good sized community college, so he gets to be around a lot of people and gets to talk to a lot of different professors and a lot of different atmosphere. And then of course the cost is good, and then like I said, it can lead to better things.
I went to community college, and again I wanted to make sure that this was for them. Make sure they proved to me and themselves they could study. They needed to manage a job part-time to help. And it kind of worked. It worked for all of us because it did give them all that first 2 years to figure out what they wanted to do, including my son, and kept the cost down for the family. And they all contributed.
The counselors here work so greatly with you to make sure that those things do happen. And it's just a good, sound investment.
So you have no need for emergency books?
I think that her teachers really did care and wanted to make sure that she was successful, that she passed her exams and things like that. It also taught her how to ask for help. She needed more testing time, and so once she let that be known, Virginia Western did everything that they could to make sure that she was successful. But she had to ask for help. She had to learn how to be her own advocate because people can't read your mind.
There are so many resources and services that are here at Virginia Western that I'm not sure he would have found at a four-year college or university. The services, the support services for students, the resources, the activities are so much more accessible. And I think that faculty and staff really go out of the way to educate students about what things are out there. I think another challenge for him was not knowing how important it is to communicate with his instructors. And so, sometimes students pay the price when they don't formulate that association with their instructor and get to know them, let them know who they are, so that the instructor knows when something is completely out of character for that student. The student to instructor ratio is wonderful, and a lot of students, including my son, do a lot better with the smaller class sizes.
I can talk to my professors, I can ask questions. Biggest advantage is personal relationships with professors and class size.
Other than my mom and my family members and my friends and everyone supporting me, the teachers here have been really supportive as well, and they've really helped me feel like I'm not going to fail at life. They help me feel like, it's okay. You're going to get through this. Everything's going to get done. Just pay attention, study, do what you need to do, and you'll be fine.
There's a lot of professors who really care about the fact that you are picking up what they're putting down, so to speak. And I'm glad I came here so I could have a personal relationship with all of my professors pretty much. You know, I have meetings with them, you know, occasionally, and it's a really good thing.
But also keep in mind
The most beneficial thing to me, at least, has been the Math Center in the Brown Library. That Math Center has been a lifesaver, you know, I mean, because, you know, I have a professor who, you know, goes through the material, you know, pretty fast in math, and, you know, if you don't know something, you know, you can ask him about it, and, you know, he'll do his, you know, his best, but we have a 50-minute, you know, time slot. He has to go through chapters, and, you know, I understand that. So, you know, if there was something, you know, that he's applying to what we're doing now that, you know, I learned in Algebra 2 when I was a junior that I don't remember, you know, you can go to the Math Center, sign in, ask, you know, any of the people there what it is that you need help with, and there hasn't been anything I've asked them about that they haven't known. So.
He never had to study or take notes in high school, only pay attention in class, do his homework, and he graduated with honors. And he found that to be different in college, and it was a huge awakening for him.
For me personally, the independence, you know, balancing how much I needed to be there and guide him, that had to be the biggest struggle, challenge. You know, because there are days where he doesn't want to get up and doesn't want to go to class, you know, and it's kind of, you have to decide, you know, he's an adult. He's going to have to learn how to face real world consequences, you know, so do I let him sleep, or, you know, do I make him get up? That had to be the biggest challenge that first year, that allowing him to be responsible and have his independence, but yet being there just enough to kind of nudge him.
In high school, they're so prepared to do SOLs, that you're being fed this material and you need to pass the test. In college, it's more about what do you think, and there's no right or wrong answer. They've had to actually study, and both of my kids did very well. All three of my kids did well in high school, but when they came here, they really had to learn how to study, and they had to get organized. They had to better manage their time. When you're in high school, you stay in your little clique, if it's cheerleading or sports or band or whatever. But when you get here to college, you do need to network. You need to brand yourself, sell yourself, find the other people that are like-minded, and you have to do that by talking. And so if a client didn't show up for their dental appointment, she had to go on campus and find somebody that would sit in her chair, or she had to take a 0. So there was accountability.
You can come in here and you can just be yourself, and you don't have to be afraid of anyone else or anything. You can just do you.
His biggest challenge, and he has shared this because we had some difficulty last semester with him not realizing that the college experience was completely different from high school. So high school, you know, it's a very stringent, very time managed. College, not so much. You know, you go to class for a couple hours a day and you get home, and that's when the real work begins. And I think there was this assumption that there was still a lot of reliance on what was lectured in class without taking the extra step to do what was needed at home. I think a lot of students, including my son, thinks that since you're only in class 2 or 3 hours a day, then that's all the work that you need to do, not understanding that you've got to put a lot more time in the work once you get home than you're actually spending in class.
Going into your first semester, you know, first semester of college is always the hardest. You know, it doesn't matter if you're at a community college or if you're at a four-year university. Your first semester is, you know, like math, English, science. You know, second semester is math, English, science. So your first year is hard.
Just go in there, don't be afraid of failing, just give it your all.
Making that transition from high school to college. You know, at high school you have all of these incremental grades that let you know step by step how your performance is in that class. And on the college level, in some courses, they're not designed for that. So there are times where you're not sure how you're actually faring in that class grade-wise until close to the end of the semester. And then sometimes it's too late. So it is really important that each student formulates that relationship with the instructor, so they can make sure they're understanding the material incrementally, so that they're not, taken by surprise when they have those 2 major tests and that's all their grade is. Even though there may be only a few major assignments, he still needs to check in with that teacher, check on Blackboard, and make sure that he's understanding the material as they go along.
And just I decided I'm not going to class today. No, I'm good. Like, this is your future. Like, this is why you're here. If you don't want to be here, don't come here. Don't waste the professor's time. Don't waste your peers' time. Not coming to class.
I guess advice I would give to parents whose students are preparing to come here was to attend the Discover seminars. They are very informative. Take all the handouts they give you. If you have a question, don't be afraid to ask. Ask the advisors and the people who are showing you through on Discovery. They'll be more than willing to help you. And advice is, even though they're young adults and we expect them to act like a young adult, sometimes things get lost in the shuffle of paperwork and things. Make sure they've crossed all their T's, dotted all their I's, did all their paperwork if they happen to be applying for CCAP or something. That's very important. We found that out. We were fortunate enough to get Hunter in on the CCAP program. But it's a lot of paperwork involved, and you need to look over their shoulder and make sure they're doing everything that's expected of them.
Advice. Breathe. It's gonna be okay. It's difficult. It's difficult, watching your kids grow up and go off to school, but yet still be at home. And there are times where we just bump heads and we don't see eye to eye. And I don't think I'm the only parent that is feeling that kind of tension, because I think for him, he would much rather be away, living somewhere else. So enjoy those last few moments that they are at home.
Establishing and keeping lines of communication open so that they understood what the expectations of them were from the school, and staying on top of what they wanted to major in, and knowing semester by semester what they needed to do and what grades needed to be earned, so that they could take full advantage of not repeating a class, being prepared after 2 years, and again, kind of letting them do that more than us taking that responsibility. So I don't know, it's a delicate balance, making sure they're becoming young adults and not over-parenting, especially since they're home.
I'm trying to cut the parenting string and sort of let him do his own thing, which can be a challenge at some time. There were the temptations to pick up the phone and call instructors myself, but I really had to empower him to let him know that he needed to be the one to connect with his instructors. Letting them go, but still knowing that you have to be involved and you do have to ask questions and know what's going on, but at the same time, putting them in the driver's seat.
Make sure you're involved in their education. That's the biggest thing that they've done for me, is get me here, is whether it be my father, in his ways getting me here, and my mother in her ways getting me here, It's been a joint effort. I've put in the work, but if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here, and I know that.